awesome. Welcome back, guys. Today we are looking at the Gen 4 Glock 17. Now, if this looks familiar to you, it's not deja vu that you're experiencing. Glock has actually made two other BB versions before this. The first one we saw was the Gen 3 Glock 19. Then the Gen 3 Glock 17. And now we have the Gen 4 Glock 17. What's different about this one? Well, the Glock 19 had no blowback, and we did a review on it and liked the gun, and had felt it was a really good buy and a really good value, but a lot of people complained that it didn't have blowback. So then, on the next one that they released, Umarex on the Gen 3 Glock 17, they incorporated blowback, but it's kind of wimpy. It doesn't go back as far as it should. It's just short and quick, and you don't get the same feel. So, on the Gen 4, you really get a solid, you can hear the difference. Really solid, really strong, and goes back where it should. Now to do that, they've changed the magazine here. So this is very, very similar to the magazine found on like the Umarex Beretta 92 and you know, a few other guns like that. This one, I don't like the magazine quite as much. This magazine, you just slide the floor plate forward, pop in your CO2, and you can screw it in like that. This one, you have a little release here that moves down that little retaining pin. So you move that down, and then you can push the floor plate forward and take your Allen screw. This just screws on and off. This is just a little fiddly. It's not my favorite system, but it works fine. You just have to make sure you have an Allen wrench, which was the case with the previous version also. And then you can just slide that right back on. Now to load the BBs, well, we'll get to loading BBs in a minute. But it holds 18 rounds, semi-automatic. Again, you've got full blowback, the slide locks up. Insert your magazine. You've got your slide release. The controls work just like they do on the real thing. Now, the other really exciting thing about the Gen 4 is the fact that you can field strip it. And it's really easy. It's just like the regular gun here. So we pull this back a little bit, grab that slide release, and pull the slide off. So this is the slide release here. Just to press it on both sides, it moves down that catch, and the slide comes off. So with the slide off, I can now remove the spring. Now, a really nice little detail is that on the Gen 4 Glock, it has a dual recoil spring. They've replicated that here in the CO2 replica. So all I have to do is push that forward, and now I can remove the barrel here. That just comes out like that. Pull it backwards, work it through, and you're left with the slide, the barrel, and the spring. You could probably tear down that slide a little bit farther. I haven't tried. You typically don't need to do that with the real gun either for just field stripping. This has the barrel inside, so you can take that all the way out, clean everything up. So put that back in. You slide it back in like that. And compress your spring. Make sure everything's in place. And then you can just slide it directly back on. And it's that easy. Just like the real thing, incredibly good for training, for getting yourself familiar with it. And it just adds that cool factor that you always want in a CO2 replica. So they've really knocked it out of the park here. Other things that make this really, really accurate, really faithful to the original, you've got the same notched, open sights here, with the front dot. You've got your serial number under here, and this serial number bar acts as a safety also. So you push that back, and now the gun's on safe. It's a manual safety, and you push that forward. Some people might not like that, but I think it's a really nice feature, especially when you're, if you're taking the kids out and shooting, it's nice to have an extra safety. Also has the trigger safety here that's functional too. Another great feature about this is that they've incorporated is the modular Glock back straps. So you get 2 extra back straps, you can fit them on here to make sure you get the perfect grip. This really feels really good in my hand, and I've got pretty good, pretty big hands. The finger grooves are a little bit less pronounced, and Glocks are known for being easy to point and shoot, and that's how this one is. It just settles into your hand and just lines up just the way you want it. The trigger is pretty light. You've got the safety here, you've got a trigger safety, and also you get a bit of you don't have quite the same reset as you do on a typical Glock trigger, but you still have some reset, meaning you don't have to take it all the way out. So you can practice your trigger control also the same way. All in all, a really good gun in the way it feels, the way it handles, the way it moves. Those of us who like replicas are really happy to see that they've followed their earlier models in no large white letters on the side to ruin the look and appearance of it. So that's good and bad, because obviously this looks just like the real thing. It feels like the real thing. You need to just not show this out in public. Don't wave this around. Treat it like people are going to think it's a firearm, because they will. It also fits, almost all of the duty holsters. I mean, the specs are the same. So you're getting all of that here. Now, there's one thing I want to show you here to load this up, because the magazine is a little, it's not the most convenient sort of magazine, but it works fine. I'm going to show you the best way, I think, to load it up. What you do is you grab your BBs here, and what I like to do is I just typically have, kind of you want to get a heavy piece of paper. This is from the backing of a shoot and see target, and so I just take and fold it there, and then I fold it here. And now I can just pour some BBs into this, and I take my pull the follower back here. Now it's got just a tiny little bit of metal for your fingernail to grab onto. It's really, for me, hard to get to. But then you can just pull it back like this. It locks in here. You have to be really careful to not let it go flying back forwards, and it's easy to do. It'll get away from you, and if it does, it can break off that piece of metal. And how do I know this? Well, if you get a really good close-up there, you'll see that I know from personal experience how easy that is to break off. So just watch that. If it does break off, you're not out of luck. You just now have to hold it back to let the BBs into that hole. So that's what I'm going to do now. So I have my sort of funnel thing here, and I just go and I just kind of shake, the BBs down so they're kind of in a line there. And then I hold the magazine at a little angle here, and I hold this at a little angle here, and I can just roll those BBs right in there. You'll drop a few, shake some more out, get them in there. I don't mind dropping them in here, because in the production room, Jason, our cinematographer, just likes it. He feels it gives kind of an authentic feel to the room. Another thing that I do is I have some rare earth magnets here, and then I just pop that onto the side. I can set it down and they don't roll all over the floor. So it just sits like that. Now we are ready to go. Pop that in, and there we are. That easy. Well, that's enough talking. Let's go to the range and test the accuracy and run it over the chronograph. To test the accuracy, I've got a target set down a range at 5 yards. I've got a full magazine of 18 Black Diamond Hornady BBs here, and we're going to see how it goes. And there we are. Now before we look at the target, let me talk about the chronograph results. I shot the full shot string, a full cartridge until it was empty. I didn't want to show you guys all that, it's pretty boring, but I got 80 shots before it really started to taper off. About 80, the 80th shot, it was about 265, and then it dipped down to 250 and went down from there. The average was about 282 feet per second, but that's including those last ones. It would have been about 285 altogether. So that's pretty decent. It's on the slow side. I think they're advertised at about 320 feet per second, which I think they would get with the Dust Devil BBs. And they would also get a little bit higher velocities on a warm day. I'm in a cold range. It's snowing up in the mountains right now, raining down here. It's pretty cold. And on a warm sunny day, you're going to get higher velocities. The highest velocity we got just shooting the Black Diamond BBs was 300 feet per second. So that's pretty close to manufacturer specs, and like I say, on a hot sunny day, you'll probably reach that. Now, to look at the target. Here's what I shot. This is 18 rounds. This is not a 10-shot group or a 5-shot group or 3-shot group. This is 18 shots. Now it's pretty vertical, and I can almost guarantee that's on me. I'm not really used to these sights. I don't shoot with this type of open sight very often, and I was just kind of, left to right I was pretty good, but I could tell I was just going up and down a bit on it. So up and down we're about 2 1/4 inches. Side to side, we can almost cover it by 1/4. So that's pretty good. Again, it's only at 5 yards, but that's good enough accuracy for training purposes, to know you're on target, to know you're hitting where you're aiming, and actually, it's good enough accuracy to get better trigger control and so forth. The first target I shot, I was shooting, they were landing over here, and I thought, oh, well, is it the gun? No, I got paying attention, and again, I was pulling it. So it's pretty accurate. The sights are not adjustable, but again, they're pretty much on, at least in this gun, right out of the box. Because of the trigger safety, which is functional, as I say, it's hard to get a good trigger pull here on camera without me kind of fiddling around here. So I just tested it. It breaks right at 3 pounds. So again, a really light trigger for a pistol like this, and a really nice trigger. Really consistent. It's easy to know when it's going to break and so forth. So I really like that. In fact, there's a lot to like about this gun. The build quality is really nice. It's the best of the 3 that they've done. The realism, you get the good solid full blowback, you get field strip ability, you get a nice drop magazine, just releases like that, so you can practice all that sort of thing, loading up magazines. I'm assuming that there will be spare magazines available in the future. The controls all work just like they should. They feel like they should, to the smallest details, the larger release there. It's just a great little gun. If you like Glocks, if you own a Glock or want to own a Glock, and that's a pretty good point, that if you are thinking about buying a Glock, I would always definitely buy the replica first. It's a fraction of the cost of the real one, and then you can feel and know, okay, I do like the way this gun feels. It's maybe too big for me to carry now, for a concealed carry. So I've just saved myself, the cost of the full gun for a gun I wouldn't be able to carry anyhow. And then if you decide that you do like it and buy the firearm, now you have a trainer. So there's really no excuse if you like replica pistols to not buy this one. Pretty accurate. You're not going to be able to, it's a BB gun, you can't hunt anything but maybe mice with it. Now, are there things that I don't like about it? There are a couple. I would always like to have adjustable sights. That's just how the gun is. I don't like this magazine as much, particularly because of the fragility there and just the overall kind of a fiddliness of it. But they had to go with this style of a magazine to reduce the profile so they could get the full blowback. So, that's just kind of the way it comes. Otherwise, there's not much to complain about. So, If you found this video helpful, or if you've enjoyed it, please like, and if you haven't subscribed yet, we'd love it if you'd do that. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.